Hello everybody, this is part 2 of my Grayscale to color tutorial. Today I'm going to be picking back up on where I left off. I kind of went ahead and did a little bit of a final rendering to her, and now we're going to get into the coloring. So what I'm going to do now is I try to make it a bit more organized. I have everything in this whole layer right here. Yeah. And at the very bottom I have the background layer. So I'm going to create a layer over everything. And let's see. I kind of like to start off with an overall tone for an image. When I color over grayscale, I use gradient maps. So you can come over to the side if your panels are set up like this. If they aren't set up like this, you can easily go up to the top, go to Windows, go to Workspace, and you can most of the time just put it on the default setting or something. It normally should be in default, but here's the Adjustments tab. You click right here on Gradient Maps. You click on this right here. This is actually in gradient. Obviously it's just all black gradient, but click on that, and here is where your gradients will be. Now I have a few gradients downloaded. You can find many gradients online for Photoshop if you don't really want to sit there and make your own, but these are just kind of like the ones that I pick from. At this point, this right here is kind of going to set the overall tone for the image. You know, if I want to have more of a cooler uh, color vibe, or if I want it to be have more warm colors, this is kind of where that is decided. I never really know how I'm going to color something. I really like colors, so I kind of sometimes like to go out of my comfort zone when it comes to using certain colors, but I kind of like this purple, so I'm gonna click OK. I'm gonna make this, and I'm gonna go up here. This is the adjustment layer, so I can turn this on and off, and you will see this gradient that is applied over all the dark areas and light areas of the grayscale. The gradient map kind of uh, it kind of places itself over that, something like that, yeah. But then I go over here to the blending mode Dropbox, and yet again, this is where I go and I just play around with different settings until I find something that I like. Uh, Yet again, I don't want it to be too saturated of a color. I just want to be able to give it a tint, make it look kind of cool and weird. I like to try to go for you know, interesting color schemes. Uh, okay, we might go with this, even though it looks dark. It's not as uh vibrant, but I like it, so I'm going to use this for now. Now what I'm going to do is I have my new layer here that I haven't did anything with, and I'm going to work on coloring the heart area along with the inside or whatever. So I know I want that to be a reddish color, so I'm going to pick a red color. I am going to just pick a brush. I'm going to pick a soft brush, default Photoshop soft brush, and I'm just going to color over. I'm just coloring over the heart. the entrails or whatever, kind of like all that. I'm just going to color over that. Now I'm going to come back up here to the blending mode drop box, and I'm going to go down to color and change the blending mode for that layer so that it's kind of you can see the artwork underneath and whatnot. Now I could play around with other different blending modes. Might make it a bit dark. I actually kind of like that. It's kind of dark. I'm definitely gonna have to come in here and lighten some things up. But kind of the same thing I did with the gradient map that's on top. I just play around with different blending modes until I come up with something I like. Now I like this. This is on soft light. So I really like that effect. It's not too saturated from the original red that I picked, but it blends in nicely with having this gradient map on top of it and then having the dark grayscale line painting underneath. So I'm gonna keep that. Now I'll clean this up later. I don't know. I'm gonna start working on the flesh tone of her. So I'm gonna make a new layer, and I'm just gonna pick a color. She's dead, so you know, a muddy looking greenish or brown color would possibly work. So I'm just gonna try this out to see how it looks. And now it's under the gradient map, so this color that I'm placing right now looks nothing like this color. But if I take off the gradient map, the color, is the same. The gradient map doesn't overall it affects everything that is underneath it. So of course any new layer that I make underneath the gradient map, the color is going to be different than what I initially picked. So always be aware of where your layers are. If you're wondering why something isn't looking right after you picked a color, could be that there's a layer on top of that layer that is affecting it some way. So we have that. I'm going to go up to the blending mode, and yet again I'm just going to pick something that looks nice. I don't know. Okay, that's kind of giving her flesh somewhat of a tone. I have it on hard light right now, so I kind of like that. And one of the cool things is that I can always go up to the adjustments tab and change the overall color. Always remember that I don't always have to end up keeping the initial color that I started with. I can always change it. I actually kind of want to change it to more of a bluish color. Yeah. So I actually really like that. So that is what I'm going to do. Maybe I don't like that. Never mind. Okay, there we go. It's more of a greenish. So I'm gonna keep that. Press OK. What else am I gonna do? What else? Now, because I kind of just colored everywhere, I kind of want to take away some of the color from her eye because I don't want that to have a green tint to it. So I'm just gonna erase this flesh tone layer. Now she is wearing glasses, so I kind of want to put some lenses in her glasses. Let's see how this works. I'm gonna make a new layer. Gonna zoom in a little bit closer so I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to use the pen tool to kind of outline the edge of the eye, the rim of the glasses, inside rim, so I can fill it in with color. You don't have to do that if you don't know how to use the pen tool. Pen tool can be very complicated for people to use. I love the pen tool, but if you don't want to map out a section like that so you can fill it in, you can easily just get your brush tool and just color it in yourself. Just do it like that. Pen tool. Selecting areas and filling it with a color can save a lot of time. So I have that going on. Of course, with glasses are two different shapes. Oh well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a gradient to this white area. So I'm going to select the layer so that the whites of the lenses are selected. All I did was, I'm on a PC, I just pressed Control button key on the keyboard, and I click on this, the actual thumbnail pick. I click on that, and that automatically selects whatever is on that layer. That's just an easy way. If I want to select this layer right here, which is the flesh tone, all of this, I press Control, hold down Control, and just click on that, and it selects everything. So I'm going to add a gradient to the lenses. So I'm going to select that layer. I'm going to get my gradient tool, and I'm going to pick the regular black and white gradient. I like to use this gradient, which I made. It's basically black, white, black. So I like to pick that one, and I'm just gonna get the gradient tool and just drag and pull, something like that. And I'm going to deselect. I use Control D. I use I use a lot of hotkeys or shortcut keys a lot. You barely see me go up to the top, but for tutorial's sake, I will be actually, clicking on stuff over here and going up here, just so you can see. And okay, at this point, I'm going to just yet again go to the blending mode and just pick something. It kind of makes it look a little transparent. You can actually see her face behind the lenses. That's kind of cool. That's a little bit too harsh with the light. I can always go back and change things if I don't like the way the gradient is looking. So I'm gonna just put this layer back on normal, and I'm going to select this again, and I'm gonna redo what I just did in regards to the gradient, because I don't really like how I positioned it. I just keep doing this until I get it in a position that I like. And I'm gonna go back to the blending mode and pick stuff. Oh, I like screen mode. I kind of like that. And of course I can come back and with a new layer and add more, sharper highlights. But okay, I guess we'll go with something like this. It's a little bit too harsh, it's too much white on this lens. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to erase that. I normally would use a layer mask, but sometimes I don't really care. Using layer mask is definitely a good thing to practice because it's less destructive of the original art or whatever you have on that layer. But I'm just gonna erase using the eraser tool to dull this down a little bit. Okay, so we have that. What else? Let's see. Nope. Okay, let me see. Now I'm going to make No, never mind. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do because I'm just trying to figure that out. I don't really want to do much else to her. We're gonna make another layer. We're gonna put this on top of the gradient map layer just because. I'm gonna pick a yellow color and I'm going to kind of go over and redo some of the highlighted parts of the body. And this layer is on normal mode, so I'm literally just like painting over everything. I don't know how this is gonna turn out. I never really know. It's just experimentation. It's what art is. So I'm just kind of roughly not really trying to be neat about it because once I put it in the blending mode, it really won't matter. But I'm just kind of adding lighted areas. Now I go to the blending mode and I just scroll through and see what looks interesting. What doesn't look interesting. None of this really looks interesting. I kind of like that. I have it on overlay. It kind of looks like her flesh is illuminating or something. I'm gonna make another layer, and the light source is gonna be up here. So I'm gonna take that same yellow. Haven't changed the color yet, and I'm just kind of gonna like do some stuff up there. Yeah. I'm gonna zoom out a bit because I need to stretch this. I really don't like how that looks, but something. Give a soft glow effect. I should probably label my layers. It's good to oh gosh, it's good to stay organized. What is this layer? Oh, lens. This is the highlights layer. This is the glow layer. What if I'm just gonna try stuff. I'm gonna move the gradient map above everything, and it kind of changes the way this looks over here. I don't know if I like that or not, so I'm gonna make this glow effect and I'm gonna put it above the gradient map layer so it's not affected by that. I don't know. I'm gonna change the opacity on this highlights right here, and I'm gonna click on this gradient right here on the gradient map to open up the adjustments tab so that I can actually change the gradient. That's the cool thing. I can go back and change it if I don't like it, and I can click on other options to see what I like, see what works. I kind of like the red. I like the color red. That's too much green. I kind of like this really weird gradient. I kind of really like this though, but it's a little bit too warm. She's dead. It needs to be like cold, chilling type colors. Oh my gosh, I'll just sit here forever trying to figure out the correct gradients that will work with this. I kind of like that. I don't know. I just want something different. That's really what I go for. I'm really wanting something different. I'm actually really liking this. So I'm gonna click OK, and I'm gonna work with this for now. I kind of like how the red color has kind of became a little faded. It's not as saturated, but nope, nope, I don't like that. Never mind. Hmm. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to change the background because I do not want the background to be necessarily the same color as she is. So I'm going to go down here to the background layer. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to go here and add gradient map. Now a gradient map is added to, it affects everything that is underneath that layer. So right here, the background layer is at the very bottom of this one. But of course, we have this gradient map that is at the very top, so this is going to affect everything under here, even this new gradient map that I just added. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scratch. I'm just going to throw that away, and I'm going to do this differently. So I'm going to save this because I'm about to try something else here, and I'm going to completely, oh my goodness, uh, I'm going to completely flatten this image. So the girl image right here, I'm going to completely flatten this. So I'm going to merge that group. So now that she is like, there we go. And okay, okay. I'm going to select her. I'm going to go up to the gradient map. I'm going to click on this white area. I'm going to inverse this selection. Easy thing is to go get a marquee tool and right click and select inverse so that everything outside of her is selected. And at this gradient map box, I am going to have black as my foreground color, and I am going to fill in this area while being on this gradient map layer. So as you can see here, all of this is filled in black, and all that is white, which is the girl, is filled with white when it comes to these adjustment layers. This is a layer mask. So the greenish gradient will show up in all areas that are filled with white. And currently the area that the space that she is filled in is white. So here I'm going to speed the video up a bit because at this point I'm kind of just playing around with uh, you know, finding what colors I really want. I've completely changed up the gradient color of it. It's more of a reddish now, instead of the initial green. I decided to make the background black. I don't normally do that, but just because of this type of image, I thought that would be cool. Keeping things organized, I put everything in a folder, and I make a new layer on top of everything. And here is when I'm going to make like do just final renderings and whatnot. Um, at this point, this is a normal layer, and I'm just basically painting on top of everything. Here I'm deciding to add like some little water droplets or moisture droplets on the heart. I really like little detailed things. I don't know, it just it just adds more to an image, I feel. So it was fun making those little water droplets. And at this point, um, it's just going over the image, adding more little veins, covering up areas that I just want to get rid of. Yet again, adding more subtle highlights. But this is pretty much the method I use when doing grayscale paintings, and this is how I apply color on top by creating multiple layers and changing the blending mode um, after coloring that layer in whichever color I want. And then using gradient maps. Gradient maps are a really easy and quick way to apply, an overall color tone or pattern to the grayscales that you already have. So it's really fun. It's definitely really fun. I enjoy the process of just laying down the grayscales and whatnot. And then it's always fun to add the color afterwards because I never really know what the final product is going to look like. But in the end, it turns out pretty good. And with this one, I'm quite satisfied with it. Just adding some final touches to it. Uh, Decided to leave the eyebrows out though, because I thought I made it look a little weird. But yeah, this is my image, and please be sure to check out my links in the description. And until next time, farewell.